right, so I am just about to interview Ethan, an Irish guy within my program that is currently in and around, I think, 2.5 to 3K per month with his marketing business. Now, the cool thing is, I know Ethan in the next month or two. Like, he's just been on such an incredible growth journey over the last couple of weeks that, I'm expecting him to be at 4 to 5,000 a month pretty damn soon. What's very interesting is that Ethan came to an event I hosted in Ireland, right? Which at the time of recording this is about a month and a half ago. And he was at zero at that point. He had no clients on board. Now, he had spent a bit of time studying my content. He worked with me inside my program. So he knew what he was doing and he just hadn't gotten his first client yet. Now, today I'm going to interview Ethan to basically break down like what has worked for him, okay? Going from zero to now, let's say 2.5 to 3K a month within about a month and a half is quite the journey for anybody starting anything new, especially Ethan coming into this as a beginner. So hopefully there's some insights that you can take away if you're also looking to start a marketing business. Now, Ethan is doing this on the side as well, okay? So it's not something that he has 12 hours a day to put into. So again, keep that in mind. All right, guys, well, welcome in officially. So Ethan is joining us. Thanks to him, he's taking time out of his evening. And we were just talking about how he's kind of balancing 9 to 5 and agency. So him taking this, half an hour with us says a lot. Appreciate it, man. And yeah, Ethan, just to kind of catch people up to speed first, just the context. Where are you at with the agency currently? Like I said, you've obviously got the 9 to 5, but just to kind of paint that picture for people, and then we'll kind of talk more about the journey, how you're doing it, and what's worked for you recently.
Yeah, 100%. So at the minute, I'm sat at 6 clients, and that is just about 3,000 per month. So it's very good. It's not exactly my goal at the moment. I'm obviously working towards it every single day, but to be sat at 3,000 per month right now, it's a massive win for me compared to where I was a few months ago. So yeah, 6 clients, doing content creation for them, page management, um, basically doing everything I can to try and grow their brand and business through my agency and getting them results. So like I've only really kickstarted it the last, I want to say, since April time, where I
Mm-hmm.
signed I've had clients in the past, but it was very slow burning. So I, from April up to
Mm-hmm.
now, which is just the start of June, I sat at 6 clients and pretty much 3K per month.
Nice, man. And is it evenly spread then with the 6 clients? Is it roughly kind of 500-ish per month per client that you're charging, or how's that split looking?
Yeah, it's a bit different with each client. Different clients require different needs. So some
Mm-hmm.
clients only really want content creation. Other clients want the full package.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, with less output comes a lower retainer.
Mm-hmm.
But I would hazard a guess of an average between 3 to 500 per client, with one or two up near the 1,000 per month.
Solid, solid, man. And then just again on the service there. So as you said, it's mainly page management, content creation. When you say page management, is that just one platform, like just Instagram, or is that multiple channels, or how's that going to look?
It's multiple channels, so between Instagram, TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. Some people like to get a bit of LinkedIn in there. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not fully educated on LinkedIn yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning every single day as well. That's the beauty of this thing, is you're also increasing your own education and knowledge as you go on. But primarily, it is through Instagram and TikTok. But I also do provide other platforms as well.
Love it, man. Love it. And yeah, just for people who aren't aware, Ethan came to the event we had in Ireland back in April. And yeah, man, it's just so cool to see since then. Like you've just grown so much, you know what I mean? And I think the reason I want to
Yeah.
highlight that is, two reasons, right? Number one, some people can scale really fast. Okay, we've seen that time and time again. Number two, sometimes it takes time to get that first solid client and then things kick off. And I want to get that picture clear for people because it can be very easy, from the outside looking in to see somebody 0 to 3K a month, 0 to 5K a month in 2 months, 3 months, and think, that's exactly what's going to happen for them. Or if it doesn't happen, that they're somehow a failure. That's not the case. Everybody's journey is so different. And like some of the guys in the program doing, 6 figures a year plus might have had a client, then not had a client for a few months, and then things completely kicked off for them, you know. So just kind of keeping that context, guys, is important, you know, to know that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Okay. So as long as you stay in the game, keep learning, and obviously be honest with yourself as to, are you doing enough? Like, that's the mindset that's going to get you to that position, you know. And I guess where Ethan's at right now, it's like that momentum is probably, I'd love to hear from you, Ethan, but like, how does that feel?
Yeah.
Because for me, when you're in that momentum, it's irreplaceable. Like, yes, you're going to be tired balancing your job and six clients, 3K a month, of course, but like, that's all the kind of motivation you need, just that momentum, man.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like when I started off, I I started, I want to say I hopped in this program maybe 2.5 years ago now, 3 years ago, and I'm only getting to where I really want to be now. So what you were saying there, where like it's not just a sprint, it is a marathon. 100%. I think I came into this program, with a mentality of, oh, I'm gonna get to 4K, no problem. And these guys are gonna lead the way. Yes, in some part that is true, but I wasn't putting in the effort that needed to be reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
I kind
Mm-hmm.
of thought, I'll just breeze past this, no problem at all. And I quickly realized that you need to put in a good amount of effort. Now, it doesn't mean you have to put in 12, 13 hours a day. You need to find what works for you. Like what I find worked for me was, doing the 3 to 4 hours after work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just learning and learning as time goes on. Now, if I could preach to anybody, it is don't give up. If you feel like you are hitting a wall, there is plenty of options for you to jump over that wall and
Yeah.
continue to grow. I think that's what you guys really drilled into me as well. It's like, don't give up, keep pushing, keep listening, keep learning. And here I am after doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm only just starting myself realistically. But as you said there, when you really get into it, you start seeing stuff really come into play. It's just a hell of a motivator, and you don't
100%.
want to stop then. So that's basically where I'm at, and I'm seeing the hard hours and the late nights paying off.
Yeah.
So it's very good to see.
Love it, man. Love it. And, you know, we've had that same kind of story happen with a few people. There's a guy, Ross, that we've done an interview with,
Yeah,
where similar, like Ross bought the program, kind of did some stuff for a couple of months and then stopped, came back to it. And then when he came back to it, like you said, he just had a different mindset, you know, so how he approached it and kind of that honesty with himself of how much effort he was putting in was there, you know, and he scaled really fast. And so
Mhm.
we do see that quite often. On the flip of that, you know, just for everybody to make sure you get kind of clear on this as well, like we do have some people where within the first couple of months of joining, they are, you know, growing really fast as well. Okay. So again, just pinch of salt for everyone of the journey is very much dependent on how you approach it. I'm just going to show you real quick, guys. This will be just interesting to see, but this is our wins channel that we keep like internally just to keep a track on what's actually happening. Give you an example, like Jack, he was doing some appointment setting, started an agency, to be honest, in the last kind of like 3 or so weeks. He's already got the first client on board there for 500 a month. Let me see who else is quite new. Sam, he's been with us about 2 months now, mainly been using social media just for his own business because he got a car business. So a little bit of a different one. But you'll see he has his first Upwork client, which is absolutely fantastic. Ethan, obviously, is in here as well, as you can see. Erica, you know, someone who's been with us long term, obviously, yeah, different story. She's doing over 10K a month, being there a bit of time. I just want to see a couple more examples of people recently. Adam, who Ethan, you would have met him probably at the
Yeah,
events. He didn't have any clients on board either when he was at the event. I'm pretty sure he might have had one, which was like a connection, like a referral kind of thing, someone he knew. But in terms of growing from that point, you know, through kind of the trainings from us of getting clients, yeah, he's 2.5 now. And he actually sent us a win today, which I haven't put in here yet. I think he's up to around 3K a month as well. So again, guys, just to kind of give you that picture of like, if you want it to happen fast, it can happen, but also have the mindset of long term. Because
Mhm.
if you put in the work to say, hey, I'm going to make this happen fast, but then have that long term perspective, yeah, you'll be fine. No problem. You know, like there's literally no way you won't win. But if you come in saying, hey, you know, this has to happen in 2 months, or if it doesn't, I'm going to pack it in and quit. Well, then, yeah, that's that's not going to work then, you know?
No.
Ethan, bringing it back to, I guess, your current setup, man. So like 9 to 5, and then in this case now, six clients. We talked a little off camera as to kind of how you're balancing that. But yeah, it'd be great for you to kind of dive into how you're structuring that, because that is probably for most people one of the biggest things that's stressing them. You know, if they don't have
Yeah.
clients, as in, whoa, what if I get clients? Almost like this limiting belief of, damn, what if I actually get a client? What the hell do I do then? I got to balance the two. But then when you have even one or two clients, you might be thinking, well, how am I ever going to scale? You know, how am I ever going to get to that point? So would love to hear, man, your approach and how you're finding it so far.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that was a big worry for me as well.
Hmm.
Was
Hmm.
obviously I am working 9 to 5. The reality of me doing this is because I want financial freedom, and you know that's a big motivator. But I can't get there until I actually put some effort in. So
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
me, I think like I really put my head down at the start of the year. I remember you guys done it was like a new year training, and it was
Yeah.
more to do with mindset and mentality rather
Hmm.
than here's how to get clients, so on and
Hmm.
so forth.
Hmm.
I think that was the biggest turning point for me, in terms of where I am today,
Hmm.
because I really took a step back after I finished that training, and I created a manifesto.
Hmm.
It's probably one of the best things I've ever done. I look at it every single day.
Love it.
Uh, it really just keeps me on my toes. It keeps me
Hmm.
motivated. It
Hmm.
keeps me looking at the end goal, even though there is no such thing as like an end
Hmm.
goal for
Hmm.
me, but it keeps me motivated to keep on track of where I want to be. And I do believe mindset is huge in this agency thing. Having the right mindset, having the right mentality. Because what I do is nowadays, but I'll track it back to before. Before, what I was doing was I was waking up at maybe 8 o'clock, going into work at 9, coming home, feeling very, not motivated,
Hmm.
feeling low
Hmm.
energy, and maybe showing up for a half an hour to send, a couple of DMs or
Hmm.
whatnot,
Hmm.
and then not understanding why I wasn't scaling.
Hmm.
But in reality, I wasn't putting in the hard graft, I wasn't putting in the reps, I was just doing work to make it seem like I was doing it. And then come the start of the year after the training that you guys done, I mapped out I changed my routine, changed my mindset, my mentality, and that's probably the biggest thing I can preach for anybody who's listening to this is if you feel like you're struggling and you don't know where, take a look at your mindset and your routine first and foremost before your deliverables, before your outreach, before anything else, because
Hmm.
that was the biggest turning point for me. What I do now is I wake up in the mornings. Now, this routine isn't going to work for everybody.
Hmm.
This is what has worked for me. So I don't want to say do this, this, and this, and you'll scale to 3,000. But this is what's worked for me. It's wake up in the morning. First thing I do is I just, check my phone just to make sure that there's any clients that need to be checked up on or anything like that. If there's any little bits I need to do, I'll then jump into a workout, whether that be a run or weightlifting, something just to kind of clear my mind before the day starts, to really get that energy, to get the dopamine up, and then I'll go to my 9 to 5. Um, so 9 to 5 obviously restricts me from doing any of this work.
Hmm.
So then once I come home, I'll have, maybe a 20-minute downtime, eat a bit of food or whatnot, and then I'll just hop into 3 hours worth of work. But it's not 3 hours of just, oh, I'll do this, oh, I'll do that. I have it
Hmm.
all mapped out from the day before. So I'll make like a task list from the day before. What I do with a few guys in this course as well, we keep each other accountable. So
Hmm.
we send each other our to-do lists and our daily tasks. So that is another way of keeping yourself kind of in check so that you don't fall off. And I'll take off the tasks as I go along. And then usually by I want to say, 9:30, 10 p.m., I'm done for the day. I'm satisfied. I can chill out for an hour. I can, watch TV and I'm not feeling
Hmm.
guilty
Yeah.
about not doing it. And I'm not going to bed thinking, oh, I should have done this, this, and this. I've done it. And I can wake up tomorrow and I'll do the same thing again. And you almost fall in love with the routine of it. You
Hmm.
fall in love with, obviously now that I'm signing clients, there's a win matched with it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
combine the two, it's a great recipe.
Yeah, man. And like you said there, it's like now because you have the clients, you have the attachment of I do 3 hours, I make 3 grand a month. It's like,
Yeah.
damn,
Hmm.
what's not to love? You know, find a 9 to 5 where you can do 2 to 3 hours a day of work and make 3 grand a month. pretty hard to find, you know?
Yeah.
But like you
Yeah.
said, that's obviously easy now. But before, when you didn't have clients, doing 2 or 3 hours is like very difficult because there's no reward in that
Hmm.
moment. You know the reward will come with time, but that
Yeah.
disconnect is difficult to push through for sure, man. And it's interesting you mentioned mindset, man. Like that's why we did that training. We actually have another one we're going to do probably next week or in 2 weeks from now. Very similar. Just that idea of
Awesome.
like, look, at this point it's June. We've got half a year left. You can do a lot in half a year. Let's make sure,
Hmm.
like you said, you got the fundamentals down packed. Really, really good stuff there, man. I love your insight because look, your outreach is important, guys. How you show up in a sales call, it's very important. The wording of your Upwork proposals and the jobs you apply to, incredibly important. But all of that really, you're not going to do consistently and with max effort if the internal is off, if your mind is scattered, you're not clear and all of that. So it's not that your personal life has to be perfect. It's just that you have to create the space for you to be able to like you're doing, Ethan, plan it out night before, do the manifesto, like have that clear vision of what you want to achieve and what will happen if you don't achieve it. That clarity, and that's the key word there is clarity, is the key because everyone's goals are different. Someone might be on this call saying, hey, I just want to get to 1K a month. If I get to 1K a month, I'm bloody delighted. Great for you. Let's do the manifesto. Let's write it for what do you need to do to get to 1K a month? What happens if you don't get to 1K a month? How do you feel? In a year from now, are you proud? Are you happy? Or is it maybe a little bit more negative? Lean into that. That is really what does push you each day. Because nobody in the program wakes up every morning going, hey, I'm super motivated. That's not human. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
days where we're gonna have to just push. I see actually just in the community today, Victoria and Mina and actually Caleb are kind of going back and forth on this. Victoria, I know she signed a couple of clients this week and she's busy. She's probably feeling a little bit of that overwhelm. Damn, like this is a lot to handle right now. And it's just a season. She'll get through it. But it's great to see people just giving her that kind of that reassurance that like at the end of the day, you just got to push through that season. This too shall pass. That's a quote that I like because it's the reality. If you just pack it in that moment of stress, it's over. But if you just push through that, you're gonna learn something from it. So yeah, man, great that you brought up the mindset there. And definitely valuable for people to hear like the realistic view, like how you're actually doing that with the 9 to 5, man. In terms then, I guess, Ethan, so we've clarity on how you're doing this each day. We know exactly like that services you're offering, the kind of price point, how many clients you have. What people are probably dying to know, of course, is how do you get clients? What's the
Yeah.
outreach script? What's the Upwork proposal? What's the magic? What's the secret sauce there? We won't go into too much detail, of course, because we'll probably be here a long time dissecting exactly what you're doing. But I know Upwork is working really well for you right now.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to reframe that and I'm going to say you're making Upwork work really well right now. Because every platform works, as we all know, guys. People in the
Yeah.
program doing Instagram, doing cold calls, doing cold emails, doing Upwork, they all work. You just have to make it work. And obviously, Ethan, that's crushing right now for you. So I guess just like a super high level, man, just kind of if you were to give a beginner in 2 to 3 minutes, the blueprint for Upwork, what would you say are the most important things for you right now?
Yeah. So with Upwork, for me, it's all about authenticity and sticking out from the crowd. What I learned was that most of the people that apply to jobs, it's copy and paste and AI generated.
Yeah.
So already that tells me that I have to stick out from the crowd in a different way, or else
Hmm.
I'm just going to be one of 50 people and I'm not going to get looking. And I'm going to waste connects, which wastes money. So that was the number one thing that I took from it straight away. Uh, Jumping into it, how I do it, essentially, it's the first thing is picking your job. So Upwork, there's a new job going up every couple of seconds. There's so much opportunity, but it's about picking the right job for what the information gives you. So you'll see jobs where it's a very basic, they've probably just hopped onto ChatGPT and said, "Can you write me an Upwork proposal?" And it doesn't really give you much information. So how can you respond to it with a great proposal? It's very hard. So
Yeah.
I make sure that I target job proposals that number one, have a niche attached to it. So let's say a wellness niche or a sports niche, something along them lines. To match that as well, I usually go for ones that provide an Instagram handle or a website
Hmm.
because then that allows me to go deeper into their brand or business and learn a little bit more about them before I even start my job proposal. So it gives me that advantage to be more authentic towards them and almost find their pain points before they even know them.
Mm.
And at least when they're reading the proposal, they're like, okay, yeah, no, I actually need help with that. Or, oh, I didn't know this wasn't working. He might know a bit more than the rest of these guys, so on and so forth. It's all about the getting into their head and really typing out what they want to hear. Another thing I'd look for as well is a name. So your first 225 characters are your most important for your offer proposal. Reason behind that is because, as I said, there is probably 20 to 50 people applying for the same job, and they're using the generic hello. Some people they don't even put effort in because you can tell. They'll say hello X, the reply to it, and you're like, okay, well, they haven't put the time in to even learn who this person is. So I make sure that in Upwork, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can actually find if they've had past jobs and freelancers have, sent back a bit of feedback and they'll usually attach their name to it. So already there, you're miles ahead of somebody else. So the main points are name, any website or handles that you can dig a little bit deeper and really just being as authentic as possible. That's really what's winning for me at the minute. And then after your 225 characters, it's keeping up that authenticity throughout the whole thing. If you see that they posted an Instagram picture or an Instagram reel, go off of that and say, I really liked your latest reel where you spoke about X, Y, and Z, or I really like on your website where your mission is X, Y, and Z. Because at least that shows, I'll say it again and again and again, it shows that you're putting in effort to really learn about who they are. So that's what's really winning with me right now.
Love it, man. Love it. And I know at the mastermind, that was just such a recurring theme. I think every second
Yeah.
speaker was like, be personable in your upper proposals, like truly, put in that effort. I think we had Mel mention, if she writes a proposal and if it's not a 10 out of 10, if she doesn't look back at it and go, geez, that's absolutely amazing. She doesn't go
Yeah.
for it, because she
Hmm.
knows there's like anything in life, there's competition. There's no outreach method out there with zero competition. This is just the reality of a marketplace that we live in. So we've got to put in that effort. So that makes a lot of sense, man. And I guess then, Ethan, in terms of just to give people maybe some stats, just some rough stats, right? If you were to send out in your case, let's say you were doing 2 proposals a day, right? So that's
Yeah.
going to be 60 in a month. Out of that 60, from kind of the data you have so far, like what would you expect off of that 60? Would you expect a certain number of calls, a certain number of potentially closed clients? And again, I know this fluctuates, everybody's performance is different every month, but just kind of to give people a rough guideline would be awesome. Because if they're not hitting, for example, if they're sending 60 and getting way less calls booked, it shows them, okay, there's something I can improve here, like there's something I'm doing that's obviously not as good as what Ethan is doing. Or they might be sending way less, maybe 15 proposals in a month, but their metrics are similar to yours and they go, okay, I'm on the right track. I just need to push more volume. So if you could, man, be super valuable for people to hear that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what I've learned, and this is through my own trial and test and also hopping on to coaching calls as well and really figuring out what's working and what the real metrics are. The best metric is essentially it's a 50% drop down on each category. So you've got your sent, your viewed, your reply, and then your client basically.
Mm-hmm,
So it's a 50% drop. So let's say I actually am at the minute sending 2 per day. So mine, some days I might only get one in. Some days, I might get three in. But
mm-hmm,
realistically, I am sending in and around 60
mm-hmm,
per month. So yeah, it is at the minute looking like a 60, and then you drop down to 30 have viewed, which
mm-hmm.
is pretty like that's perfect. If you
Yeah.
have 30 viewed now, you might have one over, one under, so
Mm-hmm,
whatsoever.
mm-hmm,
And then from that, if they viewed it, you are kind of looking at another 50% drop down. So you want 13, or sorry, not 13, 15. Maths were a bit off there.
yeah.
15 to respond
Mm-hmm,
and to start up a conversation. And then realistically, you're kind of looking at about 6 to 7
mm-hmm,
of being able to close. So 2 proposals a day. takes, I want to hazard a guess of an hour to an hour and a half.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
if you're using the same kind of metrics as I am, where I'm being very personable,
Yeah.
very authentic, it takes a little bit longer. But the reality is the results show that the more personable, the more authentic you are, the more likely you are going to be closing clients.
Yeah.
So at the minute, I think I'm pretty much sat at what I said there
Hmm.
was because I've only literally signed my last six clients within the last month and a half.
Crazy.
So yeah, I know, but like then again, the results don't lie, you know.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I'm sending 60 a month, drop that down to 30,
Hmm.
drop that down to 15, drop that down to 7. The math's 7.5, but
Yeah.
realistically, like six to eight is what you're looking at. So, and at the moment, I'm in conversation with possibly two to three more. So that could
Amazing.
even rise
Yeah.
in the next couple of weeks.
For sure. Which, for everybody listening, take note of that, right? Because we had somebody, I cannot remember who, it's going to come to me later, but somebody in the last 2 weeks that had signed at least two clients from previous proposals they had sent. But I don't mean like a proposal they sent last week. I mean 2 months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So compound effect is real as well. That is going to happen. So like your stats are probably just going to look more impressive the longer you're doing this, and 3 months down the line, it could be yeah, it could be a whole different setup, man. But that's amazing, man. Like obviously, yeah, you're hitting those metrics that we talk about spot on, that 50%
Mhm.
drop off at each part. And hopefully then that gives people a good benchmark to kind of look at their literally go up to Upwork, look at their stats and go, okay, am I on track or am I miles off here? And if you're miles
Mhm.
off, like, don't be discouraged by that and go, okay, cool, great. I can obviously learn something here because if I'm not hitting the half, if I'm sending 60 and I'm getting 10 people, to view my proposals. Okay, we just need to work on profile. Okay, we need to work on your first 2 to 5 characters. We need to look at the
Yeah.
jobs you're applying to. We do those three things. We should be able to improve that pretty fast. Not right away. It'll take a bit of testing, of course, but a couple of weeks and we'll see some improvement for sure, man. And that's where obviously tracking and just being honest with yourself comes into play. You do that, it's kind of a science, You just test a variable, change that thing, do it for a few weeks, and it's almost inevitable that you'll get the results from there. And
100%.
I guess, Ethan, then the kind of question a lot of people are going to have now is, and we get this doubt all the time, obviously, right? Is okay, I want to do this. Okay, so let's say I want to join the program or do it myself, whatever the case is. And I'm going to go on Upwork and I'm going to start applying to jobs about social media marketing that I see out there. The big doubt is I don't have experience, never done this before. I don't have a portfolio, I have no proof, I have no case studies. What do I do? I'd love to hear just from your perspective, how you have found this. I had an event at my villa about a week and a half ago, and Sean and James, who you also met at the event, were
Yeah.
there. And one thing, somebody asked them that question in the group because they had one or two clients, but they didn't have any kind of like wow results to showcase. And the
Yeah.
guys were like, yeah, we've never been asked for results. We've literally never been asked for results. Yet they have like 8 or 9 clients or something now. And I'd love to get your take, man. Like your first 1 to 2 clients on Upwork. How did you go about that? How did you break that barrier that for most people is almost a reason they won't start is because they don't have that proof. They feel like that's going to hold them back.
Yeah, no, I can pretty much mirror their experience of like they don't have any wow factor results
Hmm.
because neither did I.
Hmm.
Honestly, I more went with it with I'd obviously worked with maybe one or two clients before Upwork, but it was
Hmm.
very, very
Hmm.
small clients. And I wasn't, hitting massive results. It was more of just like, okay, I'll take this client on, I'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have much results to take from that. But what I done was I just no, again, just being personal and authentic, that'll win you a lot more battles than
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
will compared to like somebody who might have loads and loads of reels and results and everything like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um, but realistically, it's just about showcasing yourself, being as authentic as you can. I just had conversations and conversations and just kept it kind of to that level. They didn't request any like, oh, have you scaled somebody to,
Hmm. Hmm.
100,000 followers or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's almost like they took a chance on me because they seen the real side of me. They preferred to work with me because I spoke to them in, a human kind of form, in a way that I wasn't just looking for money off of them. I
Yeah,
actually want
yeah.
to help them scale. I want to help them improve their business. And that's basically how it worked. What I done as well is I went and I actually contacted a couple of video editors, and I asked them, is there any chance that we could partner up together? So
Mhm.
whenever I do eventually get clients, you guys will have an abundance of work. And in return, could I take one or two of your reels and possibly put it into my portfolio? And they said, yeah, absolutely, because it's not like I was stealing their content. I asked
Mhm.
for permission.
Mhm.
I said, there's an opportunity for this for you as well. It's not like I'm going to get it and then I'm going to say bye. You know, they're going to scale and they're going to get work the same amount that I will. So they were more than happy. I have a base now of editors that are happy enough to do the same. And that's basically how I started. It wasn't, I didn't I didn't lie about, getting somebody to 100,000 followers and
Mhm.
or anything like that. I was just open and honest, and that's basically how it happened. And luckily enough, as time goes on, you get more clients. You
Mhm.
actually then bring in results which can upgrade your portfolio, and it just keeps on going and keeps on going.
For sure, man. That's when it gets super easy, because now you
Hmm.
got the results. So even if somebody does ask, you just go, yeah, cool, here you go. Here they all are.
Yeah.
But it's that initial phase, and I think just kind of more mentally for people, it's tough to overcome that because you've got that
Yeah.
voice in your head going, I see this job post. I'm going to write the proposal, but I don't have results. Why are they going to pick me? And you're kind of your own worst enemy. Whereas as you've seen, as Sean and James saw as well, it's like you don't need them. You really don't. Of course, do what you did, like that. Contact freelancers, get that little bit of proof that you can show. And, again, do it in a very, like you said, authentic way. Don't be saying, hey, these are all my results. Just say, hey, these are, some people I work with or some guys on my team. Keep it casual. This is some
Yeah.
of what they can do just to show you. And that's really all you need. And I think the
Mhm.
biggest thing, Ethan, is someone might hear that and they might go, yeah, but I was on a call and they asked me for results, or I sent a proposal and they asked me for results. We have to take a back step in that case, because if you are in that situation, them saying, send me your portfolio, show me your results, it's normally just an objection. It's a way of saying, hey, look, I don't fully trust you. I don't fully think you're the best fit. So the kind of easy scapegoat here is I'll give you a chance, like chance B, which is if you show me an incredible result that blows me away, I'll maybe consider it. If you don't have that, I'm on to the next person. And it's the
Mhm.
same, for me. When I started, I didn't have results. There was nothing I was marketing when I started. Like you said, they took a bet and they realized, okay, cool. I like your approach. You get us, you understand our business. You took the time to really figure out if you're the right fit for us. You didn't just jam your service down my throat. We're gonna go with you. And that's how we do it. So yeah, it's super interesting to hear, man, that you followed that same kind of trajectory and it's worked.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Thankfully,
works
thankfully, it's worked. Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
like as I said, it's really about just having a good conversation, showcasing that you are willing to put in the effort to help them grow. Because they could have 20 conversations with other freelancers or other agency owners who might have great results, but they're it's just another number to them.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
you have to take it the mentality of like I'm actually going to help these guys. I'm going to help these guys grow. So that's the approach I've taken, and if I could preach to anybody, it's the exact same approach that you should take as well.
100%. 100%. So, guys and gals, if you're listening, right, and you've had that objection, or if you're ever going to have it in the future, take note of two things. Number one, it's something to work on. If you get that objection, it's a sign for you to go, okay, there was something in maybe my proposal or maybe how I've done this call so far with this business owner that I've maybe not built up enough trust. Okay. So I need to operate in a different way and change how I'm doing things to build that trust. That's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, you want to try an objection handle and actually chat through with the business owner and get past that roadblock. The easiest way to go about that is just to ask them, like, okay, look, I can probably put something together after the call and I can get it sent over to you. Just so I'm kind of clear, what exactly would you be looking to see? Like, would you be looking to see like a specific tangible like ROI, like a return on investment that a client got? Are you more just kind of looking for maybe examples of content we could create for your social media? Like, what exactly would you want to see? Just so I can make sure I can send that over to you and it's exactly what you're looking for. And what you'll find most times when you kind of diffuse the situation that way, a lot of times they'll just say, oh, yeah, look, it's just that I tried this thing before and it didn't work out. And I guess I'm just, I'm a little bit skeptical of people who are doing this. So I need to just make sure you're the right fit. And so then all of a sudden we're like, amazing, because that's the real issue. The real issue isn't they don't need the results, right? That would be great if you have it. What they need is that trust. They need to make sure that you understand them and you're not going to sell them a dream and then under deliver. You're going to do what you say you're going to do. Ethan, for people that are starting, you obviously touched on mindset there with the manifesto being one thing, just that kind of rootless, authenticity with yourself and just are you doing enough? And then the planning, right? Of day before, putting that plan in place for the next day. Just curious if there's anything else that comes to mind for you, mindset wise, personal development wise, that you feel most people should probably look at doing.
For me, it comes down to a couple of basics. It's fitness,
Mm-hmm.
or just doing something in the morning straight out
Mm-hmm.
of bed.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that be, going for a walk, going for a 15-minute walk, going for a run, going doing push-ups, or even going to the gym. That's the biggest thing for me, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is keeping that routine because it opens up your whole day. Like I always say, start off the day with your hardest task
Mm-hmm.
because the rest of the day is just gonna be a breeze from there. You might have another 10 tasks that are tough, but it's not going to be as hard as the first thing you done when you woke up. So that's kind of what I try to do. So because I have very limited time, I like to get a little bit of work done in the morning, take off the harder tasks, whether that be, sending an Upwork proposal in the morning if I see a good one, or replying to a couple of clients and maybe even hopping on a client call like this morning, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got up and I just hopped on a call with a client because he wanted to hash out a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
From then on, it was a breeze because I know, okay, well, I know what he needs now. I know what he wants. And my head's not spinning for the next 12 hours going, okay, why does he want this call? Or does he need to change anything kind of that way? So I always take the mentality of taking off the hardest thing in the mornings. As I said, it might not be for everybody, doing a workout or doing push-ups or anything, but find something that opens your mind, puts you at ease, gets you comfortable in the morning. Read a book or do some
Mm-hmm.
meditation, something along that lines. That's been the biggest game changer for me because I think I just alluded to maybe 10, 15 minutes ago where I used to be alarm going off, set it on snooze 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
wake up, roll out of bed
Yeah,
at
yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning, walk to work. And I felt not as motivated to do anything in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then when
Yeah.
I come home, I'd still have that knock-on effect of the morning. So for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, it's and if I could preach it to anybody and get anybody to change their routine in a slight way is set that alarm half an hour earlier for the first week. Set it 45 minutes earlier the week after. Next thing you know, you're up an hour earlier and you've done way more than you could imagine compared to later on in the evening. So that's
Love it.
that's what I've kind of taken from since the start of the year. Anyway, that's the way I flipped my mentality.
Love it, man. It's clearly working. Clearly working.
Yeah,
Ethan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop no, we'll keep the recording going, but we'll just do a
okay,
bit of a Q&A.
yeah,
So like that, if anybody has maybe some questions that they want to run by you, that, this is their chance. This is the chance to pick your brain and get that feedback. So
let's go.
guys, if you're listening in, if you have any feedback first for Ethan, again, he's taken time out of his day to do this. So, if you found it valuable, please do let us know. It'd be nice to see. Ethan, it's been class, by the way. So appreciate you doing this, man. So yeah, if anybody has any question, if you want to just type it in the chat, that would be probably easiest. Yeah, just type it in there. I see Evan, you dropped the question mark, so we can check in with you as well, man. Let me know, Evan, if you want to unmute yourself or you want to type that in, man.
Oh yeah, I'll just unmute myself altogether. Congrats, anyways. First off,
Thank you.
um, I'm sure it's a great feeling. I got my first client there recently enough as well, and I was kind of in the same mindset as well, where I was thinking I don't have anything, I've nothing to show them. But if you just
Yeah,
lay everything, like if you just show your heart to them, and just be as honest as you can, kind of sell yourself more than your results. Like that's what landed me my first client.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also obviously using someone else's portfolio, like leveraging someone else's portfolio, like that's also a game changer as well. Because I didn't even have to build out my own. But I was just kind of wondering there. I came a bit late. I came about, I think it was about 20 minutes late. And I was just kind of wondering, like when you're on Upwork, uh, what kind of rules do you set for looking for high quality job posts?
Yeah. So what I do is I on Upwork on like the main screen, you have your best matches. So it must be some sort of algorithm that kind of follows the ones that you always apply to are the ones that you might save. So it actually knows what you prefer. So I go through all of that first. I hazard a guess there's probably maybe 50 there, and I'll hash out exactly which ones suit me best. So, the same as you, how you've taken the personal route, look at ones that supply the website or a handle or a name or even the niche, something that you can relate straight back to right away rather than just going, hey, my name is so on and so forth. This is what I can provide. Because it just gives a very round result. But if you can actually link your proposal towards something in particular, like as I said, a niche or a website, so on and so forth, that gives you the upper hand. So if you're going on Upwork now after this call, I would not worry about not saving 100 jobs. Just save 5 to 10 ones that you think you can really make a marker on, and then break it down. I don't know how many you might send in a day, but if you can get two very, very good ones out of that, that's the ones to go for. And that's the kind of routine that I have on Upwork. I might spend maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours a day on Upwork. And that's exactly what I do. And if I can't find anything from the best matches, which sometimes it happens, sometimes you will have days where you won't find an ideal job. Just keep on searching, keep on searching. Even you can use keywords. So like I might use Instagram, TikTok, and can find you can find jobs tailored to exactly that. And from there, you're bound to find this at least one decent one days where you might not find an exact perfect job, but you just have to keep trying. And I also find that throughout times of day as well. So obviously I'm working 9 to 5, so I don't have the liberty of checking in Upwork every couple of hours. But if you're or if anybody's in a way where they can actually afford to maybe hop on at 10 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock, and then 4 o'clock, that's a game changer as well because there's always new Upwork jobs coming through, and you have basically a plethora of jobs that you can apply to there. So if that's possible, definitely do that as well.
Okay, cheers. Thanks a million, man.
No worries.
Awesome, Ethan. See, we've got a couple more question marks, so I'll just check in with them there. Riley, I've got you next, man.
Yeah, Arthur. Well, congratulations, Bill, on getting all the clients last month or so, mate. That's incredible. So well
Thank
done.
you.
Obviously, as you know, I'm sort of trying to push on Upwork now, but it's like today, for example, I've been when I got back from work, I was on there for about a good 15 minutes just scrolling through job posts, and
Yeah.
there's the odd ones that are good. They send like so many uh, invites, and like they're already hired within like an hour. Like, how
Mhm.
often would you say it's like that? Because I couldn't really find there weren't really that many on there yesterday as well, and then today I've had the same problem where they only, I think this is the bit that's sort of like, you know,
Yeah.
frustrating. Do you know what I
No,
mean? It's how often
I
is it like this?
I understand completely because like as I said there, not every day you're going to find 10 perfect jobs. It's just about, just keeping the reps up, keep making sure that you're maybe showing up for a few hours in a day, hop in and out every so often. Even though, the ones that I find that at the start, if I seen that there was 20 to 50 proposals already sent, I'd naturally just kind of shy away from it. Still apply to them because the chances are 50 or at least 20 people, it's just copy and paste or it's just
Yeah.
ChatGPT, something like that. So don't be swayed away from applying to the ones that have a lot of proposals on it. Um, In terms of just,
Interviews.
sorry?
What about like the interviews? You know, they've got like, let's say, 3 or 4 interviews. Would you say leave them or?
Yeah, unfortunately, I know it might be the perfect job, but if they're already in the process of interviewing people, then I would just leave it because it you it decreases the chance of them going back again and having a look through new applicants.
Mm.
I've only ever done it once where I went, okay, I'll pop an interview in, but that was because the job proposed was actually only posted 15 minutes ago, and he was already interviewing one person. So I said, well, naturally, if it's only posted 50 minutes ago, I do still have a chance, and I actually did. Now I didn't end up closing that client because I think he went with somebody else, but there is a slight chance of that, but I would highly recommend if you see that they're interviewing people, I would go and just try and find a new
Yeah,
one
no way, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
because it
awesome.
is,
It's just one of the things
it
you've got to stay consistent with, I guess. You know what I mean? It can be pretty
yeah,
disheartening when you scroll on and you can't find anything, and and then the good jobs are, they're already hiring and stuff. But like I say, it's just a matter of keeping on top of it, I guess, isn't it? So
yeah, no, 100%. And I understand that too because sometimes I might be on Upwork for an hour and I might find like one job, and then I check back an hour later and they're already interviewing for it, and you kind of you get down about it, but it's that whole mentality and mindset side of just keep on going, keep getting the reps in, keep trying. And even with myself, I find that some days I might not even send an Upwork proposal just because of that reason. But what I'll do the next day when I hop on, I might send three just to make up for it. So rather than setting a goal of a certain figure, each day I set a weekly goal of, let's say, 12 or 14, so that I know at least if I missed out on Monday of sending one, I can get back on that on Tuesday and Wednesday by sending an extra one each of them days when the potential of job and the quality of job is better. So even if you're at that stage where you are kind of beating yourself up about not sending one, don't worry because there's always tomorrow and there might be a better opportunity tomorrow.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Cheers, mate. Yeah, that's everything.
No worries, man. No worries.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
No
Keep it
problem.
up.
Thank you.
Nice one. All right, Ethan. I've got Jacob, who's just dropped in a question mark as well. But he said he's going to type it out, so we'll check that out in a
Yeah,
sec.
nice one. But yeah, just going back to that Upwork thing, if I I had to learn that because I was applying to probably jobs that didn't need to apply to,
Hmm.
just to make the numbers up, and I was finding that I was spending connects for no reason at all, and
Mm.
without a chance of getting the job. So, um, yeah, I set myself a weekly target of Upwork proposals I'd like to send rather than a daily target now,
Hmm.
because if I don't, me and my goals, if I don't hit a goal, then naturally you start, you know, getting down upon yourself. So that's why I more hit the weekly target than a daily target.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense, like you said, because if you're just doing them to do them, no, no
Yeah,
point.
it's not
No
going to work.
point.
No,
Yeah, waste of
no,
time,
no
effort, and
chance.
energy.
That's
And
it.
and it's
And
getting that
and
balance, right? Because obviously I know somebody might hear that and go, okay, well, I'll only apply to like the perfect job. And again,
yeah,
guys, it's all balance, right? So we don't mean only do one a week if you can't find ones that are 10 out of 10. You're gonna have to get that balance, but yeah, follow we've got the checklist in the program, right? It's a little spreadsheet where it has your Upwork job checklist. If you follow that, you should be fine. That's all the kind of key criteria you need to look at for a job. Cool. All right.
I'm just
So,
reading Jacob's.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, I'll just read it out for people as well. So,
yeah.
he said he wants to start by saying you're pretty inspiring and the information you've been given is crazy valuable. I agree. I
Thank
agree,
you,
man.
thank you.
100%. Kind of growing at a somewhat similar pace, but not as fast. Question is your proof paragraph the same every proposal? That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question because that's something at the start where I was naively using ChatGPT for my first 225, and I quickly learned that that wasn't the way to do it. So I wasn't being as personable as possible.
Hmm.
So now it's completely different for each individual job proposal. So there's still elements of it which are similar to maybe the one I'd done before, but each one is slightly tailored more towards what the job post is. So, for example, I'll always start with hi and then the name of the person. So, I'll either find that through looking at the website, look at their about us section, or looking at their Instagram handle, or even down at the bottom of Upwork where you can see previous freelancers giving reviews back. You'll more than likely find a name somewhere. And then I'll usually mimic what they're looking for. So if they're looking for an Instagram content creator or a social media specialist, I'll make sure to position myself as what they're looking for. So that instantly catches their eye. And then depending on what I can relate back to. So like there's two routes that I usually choose. The first one is I take the I'm experienced or I'm an expertise in this certain industry or this if I've worked within that industry before. So for example, like I've worked with wellness coaches in the past. So if it's a wellness niche that I'm replying to, I'll make sure to tell them that I've worked within that industry before. If it's a case where I haven't actually worked in an industry, I'll usually go for a results tailored introduction. So like I'll give them a result that now obviously I know most people might not have results, so it can be a bit difficult. But because now I have results from it, I can pop in a result there. If you don't have results, it's best to to really hit a pain point. So let's say you go onto the website or you go on their Instagram, tell them or put something that you've found from their website. Like a one that I always like to do is I like to go and if they have their website, go on their mission statement, and I'll almost like repeat that back to them. So let's say their mission statement is we want to develop, improve, and better people in the world. Let's say I'll usually like mimic that, copy and paste it, and then after that I'll say I want to develop, improve, and scale your social media. And a lot of the time, because they've noticed something from their own business being put into the first 225, that's going to catch their eye really quickly, and they can see that I've put in the effort to actually go through their website, go through, read a bit about them, and regurgitate it back to them almost. So every first 225 is different. It sometimes does follow the same path where it's oh sorry, I there might have been a bit of confusion with that question. I'm just reading that there now. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so he's basically saying for the proof paragraph, he meant the paragraph after the intro, where you dive into results. So yeah, usually that is the same. It usually is just a little bit about the results I got. So what I like to do, the paragraph straight after my first 225, I drop a portfolio link. And if you can't drop a portfolio link, then I would go straight into almost giving them information and giving them a bit of an example of what you could do for them, or an example of what you have done in the past. So yeah, there's basically three ways you can go. You can drop your portfolio straight away. What I like to do is I'll give my first 225, and then I'll say check out my portfolio, which shows some of my best results and content examples, and then I'll have a link to it. If you can't do that, which I couldn't at the start, so I'd usually be giving them some advice or how I can help them change. So that's basically what I like to do. I kind of structure it in a way where I'll do the intro, I'll give my portfolio, and from there I will be I'll meet them on their level. Sometimes as well, what you could do is you could praise their business or praise a product or a service that they have, because that's going to catch them way quicker than if you just pop in and start talking about yourself straight away. If you talk about them, they're naturally going to be more enlightened and more curious as to what you have to say.
Love it, man. Super, super valuable. Super valuable. Ethan, again, man, really appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully
Worries.
you've
It's been a pleasure.
enjoyed the process as well, man. But
Yeah.
really appreciate it. I'll send the recording for everybody so they can check it out, of course. And yeah, I guess, man, in terms of next steps, I want everybody to give you loads of feedback. So guys, if you can please do me a favor in the group, I'm going to type a message in now. Just give us the feedback. Obviously, Ethan has taken the time to do this, you know what I mean? So let's hype him up. I'm going to post a message in the Telegram group now. And yeah, if you have any feedback, it'd be great to send it in there. I'll make sure Ethan gets to see it as well.
Yeah, and guys, my messages are always open. So if anybody is struggling, or if anybody just needs a word of wisdom or anything like that, I'm more than happy to send a message to guide anybody who might feel like they were where I was, or they are where I was, and they're kind of looking to scale and to get somewhere. Like I've been there, I've done that. So, my messages are always open. So I'd be more than happy to reply to anybody.
So I'm hoping you got a lot of value from that. You'll see I actually hosted that inside of my community, okay, so that other people could attend it live, and then also we stayed on after and people could ask Ethan questions. Now, if you have any interest in starting a marketing business, this is what I do. I help people start marketing companies all the time. I started one myself, it did very well, and now I help a lot of people do this. So if you want any info on how I help people do it, and the work that we do inside my mentorship program, you can just see in the description of this video, there should be some information about how you can get my help. Hope this was valuable. See you in the next one.